I started my own YouTube page.
Did you?
Your inspiration.
In what way?
Did you ever know that you're my...
Breaking the song? I don't know what song this is. Go ahead.
Fly. That's right.
This is exactly what we called you in. This is exactly what everyone wanted.
People don't know.
That's how we'll start. Let's just start it. Are we gonna... 1, 2. Serious journalism. Serious work.
This is how all of the best storytelling starts. You have to get it out of your system, right? You have to kind of bounce off the walls a little bit.
Because you got to put all the jokes out and all the bits out.
You got to get them all out so that you can just be like, hey,
yeah.
I'm going to talk about very serious matters.
Except we're going to include the bits. These will be the segues in between. Perfect. Okay, first and foremost,
yes.
Thank you so much for joining us in the universe, coming into the universe. We appreciate your time. For those who are watching who don't know who you are, can you give us an intro of like, who is Jason Rezaian?
Oh, so like the one that you never had.
Nope. I don't know what you're talking about. All the Carmellas have always known who Jason Rezaian is.
Since the day
but
she
in the
was...
instance, they didn't know who you were.
I am currently the Washington Post Director of Press Freedom Initiatives. I have been here at the Washington Post since 2012 when I was hired to be our Tehran correspondent in Iran. I did that job for a couple of years until my wife and I, who's also a journalist, were arrested at gunpoint from our home and taken hostage. I was held for 544 days, released in a big negotiated diplomatic settlement 10 years ago last week. And since then, I've been living in Washington, D.C. I was an opinions writer for us for a very long time. And, a guy that just likes to collaborate with his friends here at the Post.
Can you talk more about the significance of this month? Because it's been 10 years, and what has changed since then?
A lot has changed in the world of press freedom and hostage taking and Iran. These are the three subjects, very serious subjects, that I end up covering and talking about the most. And I'll just kind of go through them really quickly. On press freedom, the attacks against journalists and the attempts to silence us have increased in severity, in lethalness, and also in the different countries that target journalists and try and silence them. Anytime you hear a leader of a country, accusing somebody of spreading fake news, what that really means is this person is doing some hard-hitting reporting that's exposing elements of me and my cronies that I don't want out in the world. A good journalist is going to reveal that, and these sorts of leaders have very thick skin, so they go on the offensive. And it's not uncommon for journalists to be thrown in prison, to be accused of crimes that are ridiculous that they didn't commit. And unfortunately, many journalists have been killed in recent years, and there's almost never accountability in those cases. On the hostage front, I was taken hostage in Iran and used as leverage in negotiations with the United States. In the past, hostage taking was something that terrorist organizations and criminal gangs did more than governments. It wasn't something that kind of a self-respecting government would do. But governments like Iran, Russia, China, Venezuela started to see that governments like the United States and Canada and the UK, who actually care about their citizens, will give you things in return for taking those people. And so we've seen a lot of terrible progress in that space with more and more countries doing this, what we call hostage diplomacy, but also progress in a positive way that I think that there's more of an understanding that this is a problem that the United States of America has to look at in a non-partisan way. And I think there are people in the Democratic and Republican Party working together to come up with credible answers. On Iran, look, if you had told me 10 years ago that the Islamic Republic of Iran, which is a authoritarian theocracy, would still be in power and menacing the lives of the good people of that country, that would have made me sad. But the situation has just gotten worse and worse there. And in the last couple of weeks, we've seen massive protests and an incredible show of force to put those protests down. Thousands of people, we still don't know how many thousands were killed in those protests. Iranians have shown themselves to be brave and resilient, and I just hope that before long they're able to to reach their goal of a free and open society.
In your work in press freedom, can you talk about how it started and like what kind of progress that you've made?
Yeah. So after I was released from Iran, whether I liked it or not, I became sort of a poster child for these issues of attacks on journalists. And I realized that there was power in that platform to do some good. So I started writing a lot about other journalists who were persecuted, especially in other countries where they might not be getting a lot of attention in the media around their challenges. And that has, morphed and blossomed into, a whole line of coverage, almost a beat, I would say. We found that I was being asked more and more often to go to different forums around the world and talk about these issues. And so, it was important to formalize that as part of my work here. And we started looking at what are the ways that we can actually move the needle on this. For a long time, the press freedom community of organizations, when a journalist would be arrested, would come out and say, we strongly condemn this arrest. Okay, I strongly condemn it too. That's not going to lead to a result. And there was a time when, a letter from a congressman or, a phone call from the president of the United States was all that was needed to get these people out of prison, because these other governments saw that, maintaining a good relationship with the United States, was more important than silencing a journalist or two. I think those calculations have changed dramatically, and it requires a different level of thinking about, one, how to protect journalists wherever they are in the world, and two, how to stop this from happening moving forward. And so in the case of Iran, we haven't had anybody based there since the day that I was arrested 12 and a half years ago, right? Well, 11 and a half years ago, apologies. We haven't had anybody based there. And we've had, a reporter on the ground for a total of 3 days in that entire time. And when I was taken prisoner and held, it had a very big chilling impact on other foreign news outlets. So the number of news agencies reporting from Iran has dwindled, and it was already pretty low. And then when that happens, the attacks on local journalists, domestic journalists, increase because there's no one to tell the world about it, right? So what we're trying to do here at the Post in the new initiative called the Press Freedom Desk is to give tools to people who want to contribute to news gathering, right? But to do it in a way that is fact-based, verifiable, give them tools around safety, audience growth, all of it.
Like you said, you have a lot of course, experience and knowledge of like the country and the culture. If you could, if it were possible, would you want to go back?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. This terrible thing happened to my wife and me, and by extension, my family, and, our entire communities. But I loved living and working there. I chose it. No one no one said, go, Jason Rezaian, go to Iran. It's your, we're sending you there. I sent myself, and I stayed. Mm-hmm. I think I'd love to go back, and I think I will. But, I want to caution young Iranian Americans and others who think that, they'll be able to go tomorrow. I think we're in for, kind of a long slog.
Where do you think that desire to go back comes from? Because that sounds, after knowing, everything
sounds
that you've gone through,
crazy.
that sounds so
you sound
scary.
Crazy.
Not crazy, but that's brave, terrifying, like intimidating.
I don't think it's brave. Terrifying and intimidating, maybe. And I know that if I were to go and do that, it would bring up a lot.
Yeah.
Right? But if you take away that horrible experience, I had 15 years of coming and going, 5 years of living there. I met my wife there. We started our life there. We had friends. The place is filled with history and culture. It's where my dad's from. He's no longer alive. So, there's that kind of connection to the place where he grew up. The food is delicious. The architecture and like kind of historical sites are magical. It's a special place. And I say that and people are like, you're apologizing for evil. Well, Iran has existed as Iran for over 2,500 years. We're celebrating 250 years. They're 10 times older as a nation than the United States of America.
My last question for you is, given everything that's going on, given everything that's happening in the world and Iran, what's keeping you optimistic? What are you working on in 2026 that you're looking forward to?
I'm optimistic that the people of Iran are brave, resilient, and clear-throated in their desire for something different, freer, better. And I think that there are many, many ways that the rest of the world, the United States of America, Iranians living in diaspora can help. And I'm hopeful that we're more focused and honest in helping them get to where they want to be. And I'm super hopeful about this press freedom desk that we're building. There's not another program like this that I'm aware of that other organizations are pioneering. And, you're a living embodiment of the fact that the Washington Post wants to talk to young people, and not just wants to talk to young people, wants to include young voices in our journalism. And I think that that's a commitment that's just going to grow and grow, and I'm super excited about it.
Jason Rezaian, appreciate your time. Thank you.
I missed it.
We'll do it again. Do you want me to say it again?
Yeah.
Jason Rezaian, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Perfect. Okay. Now we can do a throw for a GIF if we want to do a GIF.
What the hell's the difference between a GIF and a thumb?
I'll throw you if you want to be with the kids.
Oh,
Come on. Okay, ready?
Oh, the GIF is moving.
Yeah.
It's a moving GIF.
We're going to throw it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun.